A bit of history. Nubia is the area south of the city of Aswan. It is divided into two regions. The first, located between the first two cataracts of the Nile, is Lower Nubia, Egyptian Nubia. The second, called Upper Nubia, extends from Wadi Halfa to northern Sudan around Khartoum, Sudanese Nubia. Relations between Egypt and Nubia are as old as Egyptian history. Nubia was an important source for trade. Not only were valuable products imported therefrom, such as gold, wood, ivory, incense, and animal hides, but it also provided troops for the armies of the pharaohs. The oldest Nubia temples date back to the 18th dynasty, Buhin, Elysea, Amda, and other places, while the most recent were erected during the Greek-Roman period. However, of all the Egyptian pharaohs, it was under Ramses II, 13th century BC, that Lower Nubia witnessed its most intensive period of temple construction. He erected 7 temples therein: Beit el-Wali, Karf Hussein, Wadi Sibua, there, the only one on the east bank of the Nile, those of Abu Simbel, and finally Aksha. The successors of the great ruler of the 19th dynasty Odin built another temple in Nubia for nearly a millennium to come. Abu Simbel lies 270 kilometers south of Aswan. In addition to the two cave temples built by Ramses II, the walls of the surrounding hills feature 28 stelae carved into the rock. During his trip to Nubia, the Suez traveler Johann Laudwig, or also known as Sheikh Ibrahim ibn Abdullah, was the first Westerner to see Abu Simbel on March 22, 1813. After visiting the small temple, he wandered a few tens of meters to the south and discovered the upper part of the colossi of Ramses II of the Great Temple, still buried under the sand. Thereafter, the Italian Giovanni Battista and his team managed to enter the Great Temple of Abu Simbel on Friday, August 1st, 1817, more than 3 millennia after its construction. After the construction of the old Aswan Dam from 1898 to 1902 and its subsequent two elevation from 1907 to 1912 and from 1929 to 1934. The water level to the south of Aswan had risen considerably, and the temples of the Phila had been inundated. The construction of the high dam from 1960 to 1971 and the huge Lake Nasser which would develop behind it, with an average width of over 10 kilometers, length of 500 kilometers, and a total area greater than 6,000 kilometers square, would result in the complete submersion of the monuments of Nubia in both Egypt and Sudan. It was therefore necessary to act quickly to save these temples before they ultimately disappeared under the water. That is to say, before 1968, for the site of Abu Simbel, the Egyptian authorities and international community acted quickly. On March 8, 1960, the General Director of UNESCO issued a solemn bill thus inaugurated The international campaign to save the monuments of Nubia. It would span 20 years. The rescued Nubian temples were moved and reassembled in new locations. The temples of Fila on the island of Agilika near the old Aswan Dam, the temple of Bet el Wadi, Kalabsha, and the Kioska of Kartasi, a few hundred meters south of the high dam. The temples of Wadi Itzabua, Dhaka, and Mahraka, 140 kilometers south of the high dam. The temples of Amda, Deir, and the tomb of Pinot, 180 kilometers from the high dam. And the two temples of Abu Simbel, 2,070 kilometers from the high dam. For Nubia, temples were offered to the countries that had provided significant assistance in the salvage operation: the temple of Lycia to Italy, that of the Bod to Spain, the temple of Tafa to the Netherlands, and the temple of Dandar to the United States. Other monuments were offered to other participating countries such as France, Poland, and Germany. Several schemes had been presented to save the temples of Abu Simbel, the one which was selected in 1963 had been submitted by a Swedish company called VBB. The work cost nearly $40 million. It took 1 year, from August 1965 to July 1966, to cut the two temples into 1,042 enormous blocks weigh over 15,000 tons. The blocks were then reassembled around a concrete superstructure surrounded by a dome to mimic the topography on which the temple was originally located. Over 200 meters north and 65 meters above its original location, the new site was inaugurated on September 22, 1968, but work on the final elements lasted until 1972.